Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again by Monty and Karen, bringing you some more Ryan's Hope
My favorite show.
episode episodes 47 to 50. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll chat. All right. First we must pay respects to Ron Hale, who passed away recently.
What a
So
shame.
rest
I
in
really
peace.
loved him. And I know he didn't want to come back when they brought Mike back on General Hospital, but I really kind of wish that
Yeah,
they had,
he
just
was
so we could have had
retired.
more of him. I know people retire. I'm never going to get to do it. So I'm jealous of everyone who does.
Was nice. He had a good retirement. His last thing, I think, was 2017. He did like a movie or something and then retired officially.
But we get to
Um,
watch him forever.
yeah, so I'll go over a few things he was in. He started in Search for Tomorrow. Love is a Many Splendored Thing, which was another soap opera in the 70s. Then he went from there to playing Roger on Ryan's Hope, which is what we are watching currently. And he was in it the last episode we watched, thank goodness. So that was nice. Karen probably knew him first as on MacGyver in a 1990 episode called Hearts of Steel. Also, of course, Mike on General Hospital,
Hmm.
1995 to 2010,
And poor Charles.
and Port Charles from 97 to 2000. So rest in peace, Ron. He passed away in August, but it just came out recently. So Um, moving along, once I get my cat off my lap. Monty, what the
Monty is the official
fuck?
Queers and Soaps mascot.
He just ate and he's trying to get treats. No. So episode 47 starts with Mary visiting Frank, tells him about Nolan Ryan and all that. He said he already heard from Johnny, I think, whatever. He was like, Johnny was very excited. And she says that Jack Finelli wants to interview him, and he says he will see him after nudging him along a little bit. Um, Nell and Bucky. Nell's doing some x-rays, working her little butt off.
And she looks
She seems,
sad.
yeah, she seems a bit off, like something's going on with her.
Hmm.
And, yeah, because we know something is going on with her. We don't know exactly what yet, but, probably a tumor or something. She says she can't really tell him. I guess she's probably like in denial and doesn't want to really talk about it with anyone, so she doesn't say anything. And it's definitely more than Seneca, she says, because he's like, I guess that's would be his uncle through marriage, right?
Yeah, so he
'Cause-
just keeps trying to figure out why she left Seneca when she worked really hard to stay with him all those years,
yeah,
and he's just worried about her because he loves her.
yeah, he loves his auntie. And he says something like, "I talked to my mom recently and stuff." So we might see his mom eventually, which I guess is her sister. I'm not positive.
It would have to be, right?
I would think so. And then, yeah. So Frank and Jack talk. Frank fills him in on seeing Nick, and refusing his offer and all that stuff, a campaign fund, all that
His fake
jazz.
story, his cover story.
Yeah, mentions him saying that he was pushed, and he's like, "Do you remember saying that?" Of course, he's like, "No, he was like out of it at the time, so you could probably get away with that lie."
He says, I think you remember Mary saying that I said push, just push.
Mm,
So he's trying to downgrade that story already.
I would have just been like, "I was out of it,"
I know
because
it's weird how he tries to control that narrative when he doesn't have to. He could just, like you said, say,
yeah,
I don't remember anything.
right, you were in a coma and you woke up to say that, and you were in a coma for another however long.
Yeah. I thought that was a dream I had.
Yeah.
The end.
So it looks like Bucky's having like a bit of a bad day. Of course, he talked to Nell. He's upset about that, and then he's fighting with somebody there. Faith comes along. She's like, "Oh, I want to cheer you up because you would do that for me." Um,
Well, Bucky
no.
tends to make mistakes, like stupid mistakes. So
Yeah,
he has two patients called Brown, and he almost gave the medication for one Brown to the other Brown, and that's why he's upset. Is because he keeps making these tiny mistakes that could turn into something bigger.
right. Um, so she's like, "Oh, would you like dinner in the cafe or like cafeteria? Like that'll cheer
Hmm.
you up, whatever." He's like, "I would like to take you out," and she gets all weird again. She's like, no." And then he's like, "Well, Pat will be there." And she's like, "Oh, well, if you don't think I'll mind, sure, I'll do that." To go to his houseboat,
Hmm.
I guess on their upcoming day off or whenever they get off duty or whatever.
Well, you see them all crowding the calendar later, so they're trying to figure out what
Yeah,
their next day off is.
yeah, these people must get worked to death. Um, Pat comes along and Bucky fills him in. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's cool." He's like, "Yeah, and I bet you want me to get lost." He's like, "No, I think I want her to be comfortable." So he's caring about her, whatever.
Yeah, and Pat was being a bro, but he was also funny because he was like, "Oh no, I have to go to the houseboat and have a great time." Mm.
Right, and he's never been to the houseboat, which I thought was kind of funny as being their best friend. So I'm like, how close are these people?
I
You were
think
never
it's
even to
because
the
Bucky
houseboat.
worries that Pat will figure out that he has money
Hmm.
because that houseboat is tricked out, and it's kind of a dead giveaway that there's some money somewhere.
Yeah, I guess the Ryans don't seem to have money. Like they
They have a
usually own it.
bar. They own their own business. They can't be that
Right.
poor.
That's what I was thinking too, but I don't know. Um, Johnny tries to sway Mary away from Jack because he doesn't really like him. He doesn't trust him.
Hmm.
She kind
You
of
have
defends
nothing
him,
in
and
common with him. Blah blah blah.
she's like, he's honest. I really hope you get to know him one of these days, whatever. Mary tells Pat, that she trusts Jack. Jack tells his editor that he has a good story for him about the riots.
Hmm.
I can't imagine what he would have. Like, I feel like, I don't know, what's he gonna say? He's lying? I mean, it's his word against his.
I don't know because the
So
only
I'm
thing he could
curious.
do is repeat what Frank said when they were
Right.
interviewing him, and everything Frank said was very bland and safe.
But I'm wondering if maybe there's another source that he got a hold of because like of how it ended, but we'll get to that.
Well, we'll find out.
Episode 48, Delia and Frank talk. She shows pics of little John and she's like, I'm gonna be the best wife and I went to a priest and everything's great and I'm the best and everything's wonderful. And he's like, yeah, I can't make any promises, lady. Like, we'll see how it goes. Plus, he's in love with Jill.
Did you see the little weird hallucination he had of Jill, where
Yeah,
she was like a ghost near his bed, and he was having like an imaginary romantic moment with her, and I was
yeah, it
like,
was weird.
wow. So Frank's on the good drugs, huh?
He's on that good stuff. Um, yeah, she's like, oh, I'll make it up to you. I'll be the best wife and all that stuff. Seneca takes Bucky aside, to ask questions about Nell and Ed and all that stuff. Seneca is like, something's going on, something else is going on with her. Bucky's like, yeah, I get the sense, something's going on too, but I don't know exactly what it is. Um, Clem is around. He's helping Nick walk.
Hmm.
Um, Nick sees Delia leaving, and he says, um, basically, he's like kissing her butt. I don't
Well, he
really
wants
understand why.
because she's a pretty girl. I think he wants to get to know her. She's another avenue to Frank, and he is
Okay.
just like, you're a pretty girl. I never get to talk to you. I think you're smart. I think you're wonderful. And those are things that Frank
Yeah,
does not say to Dee. So I'm assuming that this is just Nick working an angle. Or he could just be a gentleman because remember, he has a daughter and he's kind of grateful about the help that the Ryans have given to his daughter. So I don't have a clear
I,
read on Nick yet.
I think he's working an angle too because of what he says in a second. Um, so yeah, he's like, "Oh, you should run for office if Frank can't." She's like, "Oh, I'm not that smart."
He is
Um,
buttering
he
her up.
offers he offers her money if they ever need it and
That might be it.
all that stuff. Then
That
he
might
like
be it.
sees her to the elevator. He has like some kind of back spasm, calls Clem over. Um, and then he's like, "Oh, serves me right." That's when I thought he was like, "Okay, he's probably doing something shady."
I think,
Because
don't
now
you
he
think
feels
like
like,
he wants to contribute to Frank's campaign because he wants to have a hold on Frank,
"Oh yeah,
and
that's
and he
how it usually
can't do
works."
it. He can't do it through Frank because Frank already officially turned him down in front of everyone. So now
Right.
he's going to backdoor his way through Delia,
Yeah, it makes sense with just what he said.
maybe.
Just guessing off of dialogue, and I guess we'll see
Yeah,
eventually.
to be
If
decided.
Nick lives, he seems in pretty bad shape.
Well, his back is so bad. I felt so bad for him.
I
But
know,
that
I did
leads to
too.
an issue with Bucky and the gang.
Yeah. So Seneca tells Ed to stay away from Nell. That was fun.
I liked that
He's
because
like,
Ed was like, "Nope."
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I had. Ed basically tells them off.
hmm
Um, Marshall calls Seneca. He's like, no, you can't have the position, like, because we already have a neurologist or whatever.
Yeah, Ed's already in the
Um,
position. Basically, it's not official, but he's been doing the job for months.
yeah, and then he's like, I'll only take neuro because Nell can report to him, and he'll say he'll take care of it. So I guess
I hate
Marshall's gonna
Seneca.
fire him. I don't know
I
how
want to
that's
talk
gonna
about
work.
Seneca when we're done doing the recap because I have thoughts on him.
I, I don't know what to think of him. I just know he's a monster at this point for the like handful of episodes he's been on.
Yeah,
Delia goes to Jill. She brings up Frank's missing money. She's like, "Can we file something against the hospital for that?" And I think Jill was going to do it anyway, but she doesn't say she was going to at that point. And Delia basically stakes her claim on Frank, and Jill kind of tries to shoo her away, like, "Go away, lady." Um, and then Delia gives her permission to see Frank when she isn't around.
but she's always going to be around. Did you notice
Of
she said
course,
that? She's
because
like, "I'm
right.
always going to be there."
Because she's saying how she's going to be the best wife ever and
hmm
all that stuff,
I can't
all
blame
that
Dee for
fun
doing
stuff.
that because it's her husband. And like, if Frank's going to be messing
True.
around with Jill, divorce Dee first. Stop doing this crap.
And I feel like Delia has like kind of a hold over him right now because although he kind of has one on her, so it's kind of mutual. So
Yeah, mutually
I'm
assured
curious.
destruction.
I'm very curious to know how this is going to
Not well. I don't
go.
think this can turn out well because it's
I
obvious
don't
that
know.
Frank doesn't like Dee.
Yeah. I mean, he deals with her pretty well, I think, though. Like for not liking someone. Like I get it, but like I don't know.
Yeah, but you're married to a woman you can't stand and you had a baby with her and you're in love and having an affair with another woman. There's so much stress on the
Well,
situation.
Delia went for him when she loved Pat, so it's kind of the same shit. I mean, I don't know why you would marry anyone that was with one of your siblings, but whatever. Happens all the time on these stories.
Yeah, not in real life so much, but in soaps
I hope
every other
not.
week, I would hope not. I mean, I'm sure it does happen.
Leave
Everything
us a
happens.
comment if any siblings married your significant others. I would like to know.
Did your sibling marry your ex significant other and as a form of revenge? Do you still talk?
Right.
What is Christmas like?
Thanksgiving. Episode 49. Bucky, Faith, and Pat are looking at the schedule. They're like, "Ooh, we have off! Yay!" Nick's back is still killing him. Apparently, Bucky has the keys to the narcotics, which would never happen in
Oh, that you
a
know why that
hospital.
happened? No, it wouldn't. You're right. But
There's multiple people with
the
keys.
nurse tossed the keys to Bucky to get the drugs for her. He opened the cabinet and got the drugs. When he came back in the room, he tried to give her both and she took the drugs and kind of shooed him away and he did this little like confused spin and left the room. And I think by the time he left
Yeah,
the room, he forgot he still had the keys in his pocket.
right, because he was too excited to be off for the day and
They were trying
hang
to
out with
run
his friends.
away before they got
They
caught.
totally were. Yeah, right. Because I was
Because what?
confused too, because I knew he was trying to run away and then he ran in the room and all that
But
stuff. And I was
also,
like, oh,
what
was he stuck
idiot
there?
scheduled the 3 intern doctors off on the same day? That would never happen.
I'm sure there's other interns, but
Well,
we just
well,
haven't met
maybe
them
there
yet.
are, but like as far as
I'm
we
sure.
know, there's only the 3 of them, and they're all off on the same day. That's insane.
I think you usually get about 8 to 12 interns, like per, at least it is like how it is at my
Port
hospital.
Charles,
But
how many did
this was
Port Charles get?
1970.
6,
I
7,
don't know. Was it 6, 7, 8? I don't know.
something like that.
Um,
It wasn't Greg Cooper.
Mary goes to Jack's place. She's basically checking him out because he's shirtless. He does have a nice little bod on him. They give little pecks now. They kiss. So I guess, something's happening here. Nothing official yet. Um, he says that he doesn't have the story there, which I don't know. Is he bullshitting? Because didn't he like hide something under a pillow?
Yeah, he hid it under the pillow. He
I
has
thought
it.
so. Um, Bucky takes Faith and Pat to his boathouse. It's Pat's first time there, which I was like, okay, that's weird.
And Pat
Nurse Gonzalez.
immediately starts asking him questions about his family and where he got the money for the boat. And I'm pretty sure that's why Bucky
Mm,
never took him there before.
uh, is he a gold digger, this Pat? He
No,
doesn't seem
I
like it.
think Bucky wants to be seen on his own merits and not as a nepo baby.
And
So he doesn't want them to know he's rich. That's why he's cagey about the his father working in shoes. Like he probably runs like a shoe company, not
you're
a
right.
shoe store.
Nurse Gonzalez calls Bucky. He has to bring the keys back. Apparently, he lives about 40 minutes from the hospital, which I think is crazy, but that's how it is with Tim. So, whatever. Um, Pat wants to swim, and Faith wants to read. They end up playing cards, I know.
Gin
And then
Rummy, which is a great fun game. I love Gin Rummy.
she just seems like happy, and she's like, "This is the first time I noticed how nice this houseboat is." Like, I guess because she's always pent up when she's with Bucky, even if she says she likes to be with him. I don't know
I think
what
there's a
Faith
lot
is.
of internal and external pressure in the Bucky situation because
Yeah,
Bucky wants a relationship. She thinks she wants a relationship, but there's so much pressure for things to turn out the way Bucky wants them to turn out that Faith can't even relax. And she becomes a little too relaxed in Pat's presence. I almost felt like that was a danger zone after the dancing
yeah.
because she was
So
looking
yeah,
at Pat a little differently. And I'm like, uh oh, Bucky.
well, yeah. Faith is more relaxed, talking about medical jargon, which she was doing as they were playing cards. Pat puts on music, and he's like, "Just close your eyes and feel the music." And she's like doing these weird arm things. I'm
It
like,
was funny. That was terrible dancing. I really like her for that.
what?
I love Faith.
She's very good at she's very good at this character, this
Yes,
actress.
she
I'll look
is
her up
really
the next
great.
time.
Yeah.
She's great. She seems cool with it, and then he's like, "Okay, now stop moving your arms and just move your waist, move your hips, and all this." And then she does pretty good with the hip action.
I think
The
she
hand
does.
stuff is awkward.
No, it's not good.
No.
But she's trying, and that's I mean, she kinda dances like a Muppet, but like she said, she's incredibly self-conscious, and all of this just I think the whole thing is she doesn't really wanna be perceived, she just wants to be doing her own thing, and
Right.
anytime she tries to kinda go with the flow or do what other people are doing, she is then perceived, she feels awkward, and then she wants to hide, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of nightmarishness for her.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, I had fun this time. You're so easy to be with." And she
No
feels a lot of
pressure.
pressure when she's with Bucky. And then Bucky returns. Um, Jack is okay. So did you understand the stuff with Jack and Sister Joe? Like, did his mother abandon him? I was so confused by this story.
So, what he's saying is he became so attached to this nun that she was basically a mother figure to him. And then the
Hmm.
church did that crap where they separated the boys from the girls. So the nun got the girls and the priest got the boys. So he lost his mother figure basically overnight, and he was angry about it. Even though she kept in touch and all, he was upset about it. And the nun says that he was too attached to her, which like feels like he considered her a mother figure and she didn't
Right.
consider him a son figure, except she does. So I don't know why. Who would be mad that somebody loved you? Like, explain to me why you would be so upset that this little boy thought of you as a mother when that was your job to
Right,
mother
right.
children, and then you just abandon him to the priest. And then I'm like, well, did the priest suck? Is that why he's so mad about it? Like the priest wasn't as friendly or as loving?
Right.
But also, Ryan's Hope loves to just info dump your entire trauma in a kind of like random conversation where it's just like, here is my lore. I was sad. A nun abandoned me. I think she's my mother, but only in my mind, and she refused to be my mother because she was a nun. Right?
Right.
Like, and then Mary Ryan's like, so I want to meet this nun. Okay,
Right.
let's go meet a nun. And she doesn't even live that far. So like, why is he upset? Like, just go visit
Yeah.
her. You love her so much.
And so Sister Joe comes out, talks to Mary and all
Yeah,
that, and
she's a
then
trip.
she is she talks to Jack and she's like, "Oh, I need your help with something." It's
Let
basically
me
the end of that
Catholic
one.
guilt trip you here.
Did you recognize this nun?
No, I thought she looked
I did.
familiar, but I was
You'll
so
know in a minute.
I
You'll know
will.
in a minute.
I will.
So, I had to look her up because I'm like, I know this lady. I know that voice. So her name is Sylvia Sidney. She started acting in 1926. I'm guessing
Okay,
that's silent films.
cool.
And she acted until 1999.
Oh my
So a
god,
hell of
good
a
for
career.
her. Killing it.
And that's also the year she died.
Oh.
Um, she plays Sister Mary Joe, it says in Ryan's Hope, but they just call her Sister Joe, so we didn't hear no Mary Joe. I guess they didn't want to confuse it with Mary. I don't know.
All those names are fake. And remember, all the nuns like they choose a name,
Of
and
course,
all
yeah.
their names like the IHM nuns
Joseph,
were. They're all like
right.
Sister Mary Joseph, Sister Mary Celeste, Sister Mary Christina. Like, so that why would you anyone call anyone Mary?
So all this to say, she plays Juno in Beetlejuice.
I
Juno, the
don't.
caseworker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the little old lady that gets Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis and shows on the afterlife and all
She
that.
gives them the
That's
book,
her.
right? She gives them the
She
book.
gives them the book, or she yells at them because I think they used the book wrong.
Yeah.
She also tells them that not to say Beetlejuice 3 times and all that stuff. So she's a very important part of Beetlejuice history. And I did know her. She's in a bunch of other stuff too. So she's in a lot of stuff through the
I feel like
70s,
everyone
80s.
is.
Yeah. So, but I just knew that voice and I'm like, I have to look her up. And she did look familiar too, even though like she's a little thing, like when like she's a real thin woman. So anyway, episode 50, Mary and Frank meet with Sister Joe, who wants Jack's help with some 16-year-old boy that needs a job. Of course, he's a troubled kid, blah, blah, blah.
This is so typical though of like because we're raised Catholic.
Right.
It's like the nun is like, you owe me favors because I raised you. It's like, but you abandoned him. Like,
Right.
what does he owe
As
you?
his mother did too.
Everyone abandoned him. Everyone leaves him. That's why he has commitment issues,
Yeah.
I guess.
Jill visits Frank. They're being
Mhm.
all lovey-dovey. He asks Jill to withdraw the claim for the $6,500 because she said Delia came to tell her, ask her to do it. She was going to do it anyway. And we all know why, of course.
Mhm.
Roger ends up coming in. Ron Hale, the great Ron Hale,
I love Ron Hale. I'm sad now.
who does stay with Ryan's Hope till 1989. So we have a lot of Ron to come. He stays the entire run. Roger thinks he should make the claim as well because he's like, oh, you can get extra money. He's like, I want the claim from you, pal. You borrowed the money.
Yeah, but also he does run the risk of fraud because
That's exactly what
it's a
Frank said.
fraudulent claim. And Frank,
He's
he
like,
I
you're
don't
that
think
that can make you a fraud and a thief, and you will not do that.
right. And it was clear that he wants Roger to pay that money back, but also
Right.
that he still needs to keep his reputation relatively squeaky clean for this election.
Yeah.
It's a smart move not to call more attention to the $6,500.
Right. Jack says he'll make some calls to get this boy a job, whatever, and I guess he goes off to do it immediately.
Yeah, but he
Mary
was like,
opens.
"What can this boy do? Like, does he have a
Yeah, he
rap
doesn't even
sheet?
know
What?
him.
I know it's kind of ridiculous."
Yeah, it's silly.
Hmm.
Um, so Mary opens up to Sister Joe. She tells that Jack's mom deserted him, and she did as well.
Hmm.
Sister Joe ends up saying in the end, once Jack comes back, she's like, he's worth the effort.
But not from me because I
It's a
abandoned him.
conversation. Yeah, well, you know. Um, Nobody's perfect. Roger gets no reflex action when he's trying to like bang, what is it? What's it called when you're
That
testing
little,
your reflexes?
yeah,
A
testing your
little,
reflexes. It's like a little
right.
hammer.
Nothing's happening. His legs aren't moving. Um, Johnny and Roger try to like make him bend his toes to see if like his back's worse than it is. His toe ends up like budging just a little bit, and they're very excited. This means the spinal cord is attached, and he shouldn't have any problems eventually, obviously, in probably a few months.
I do think it's funny that Johnny kind of yelled him into being able to
Yeah,
move again. This seems to be a theme on Ryan's Hope that when you're injured, your family can just
yell
scream
at
you
them.
back into reality.
Right.
I love it.
So silly. Mary wants to trust, or Jack wants Jack's trust. And they share a good kiss this time.
A real kiss.
Mhm. Johnny and Maeve celebrate Frank's progress. Bob comes in all mad about the article that Jack wrote about Frank,
His boyfriend.
his boyfriend. That's all I got. I love when they have like Bob wasn't in any of these and he's only in that one part. I love when they used to do that with soaps. Now like
Yeah,
nobody
nobody's
does.
on, and then they just show up on Thursday. That's crazy. That's
Right, right.
crazy.
It's
So
craziness.
I wanted to talk about Seneca for a minute because
Do.
when Seneca talked to Bucky, Bucky made a comment about all the struggles they had to stay together, him and Nell. And
Right.
Seneca was like, I don't care about that right now. So like he just dismissed all the effort that Nell put into being in the relationship. He just dismissed it out of hand. He's like, that doesn't matter. I don't even want to talk about that right now. And then when he was talking to Ed about Nell, Ed very clearly said, you treat her like she's a possession you own and that you don't want anyone else near it, but she's her own person. And he's like, yeah, she's my wife, my wife, my wife. Like he really treats her like something.
Controlling. Hmm.
Yeah, he owns and he keeps in a house and he's pissed off about because it's not in its place in his house where he wants it. And
Right.
even though there is more going on with Nell and seeing her so sad before she did the x-rays and Bucky comes in, like I don't ever want her anywhere near that man. I just don't. And now he's going to steal Ed's job just so he can control what Nell's doing.
I also wonder if Nell actually would have stayed if something serious wasn't going on. Because like it took this, whatever's happening, to make her
Mhm.
leave. I don't think she ever would have left
I
otherwise.
think I think the relation is abusive and
Yeah, oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
it's really
She
hard and
acts it.
abusive.
She
Yeah,
shows
she
it.
does. And
Yeah.
it's hard in those relationships to leave. They tell you it takes multiple times before you can ever leave. And then that's usually when
And
your
she
husband
said
or
that.
wife kills you. And
She
so
said that it was hard for her to leave. And that's
mhm.
why she's always pushing them away immediately. She's like, get out. I don't want you
I
here.
think
Leave me alone.
my personal theory, and obviously you're probably along similar lines, is that she has something that could be terminal, and it made her realize that she's wasted all her research time doing whatever Seneca wants, and now she only
Hmm.
has, say, 6 to 8 months to
And
accomplish something before
it
she
makes
dies.
sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense that how she's acting for sure.
And now she's like, I've missed out on a lot of life, and Seneca has been this big albatross around my neck. And she moved
Hmm.
away from him. And now this bastard is following her and trying to
Yep.
trash what she's trying to build for herself.
So what do you think they're gonna do with Ed? Because he's the neurologist. Like, are they gonna demote him? Or do you think they're gonna have? Like they can't have two neurologists, I don't think.
It could make Ed lose his job,
That's what I'm thinking.
which would be, I mean, really dramatic, right? It would be very exciting.
Yeah,
But also it puts Nell in such a bad position because now her husband is her boss and he's in a position to control everything she does. And then to have Ed removed from the situation, who is her ally in this scenario, she's going to be even more alone, and she's going to
but
feel guilty because Seneca
I
has
don't,
ruined Ed's career.
I don't think that they can just fire Ed though. If he doesn't have anything against him, I can't.
Well,
I mean, hopefully he'll
it's
fight it if it's
but here's the
anything.
thing: it's the position, right? It's the position.
Right.
So maybe
That's
whatever
true. Maybe he could be
position Ed
demoted.
had, yeah, whatever position Ed had before he unofficially took over this department would be
Right.
where he would remain. Now that puts Seneca in a position of being in charge of both of them,
Yeah.
which means he can be as aggressive as he wants because he'll be their boss. I feel like this would be a nightmare scenario for both Nell, Ed, and the rest of the hospital because the hospital is very fond of Ed and how he runs things. And to
Yeah.
have this narcissistic male come in here and just be like, I literally took this position to punish my wife for wanting to have a life of her own. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. We have a lot going on with this, I think, with Bucky, Pat, and Faith,
Right.
because we also have Delia that said she was in love with Pat. So I'm sure she's not over that either. So
Yeah.
we
And
have
it
that
doesn't
in the
seem
mix.
like Pat is either, because one of the reasons I
Right.
think Pat has just been in his hoe phase is because maybe he couldn't get over the fact that Delia married his brother. And so now he's like in a go with the flow, date whoever's around mode, because the reason he wasn't with Delia was because Dee wanted to get married and he wasn't ready yet, and then she married Frank.
Yeah.
So now I think maybe he's trying to figure out what he wants because the woman he loved just dipped because she couldn't get what she wanted. And then maybe
Right.
he didn't want to make that kind of commitment to anyone else, considering what happened the last time he did it, which would make Pat more likable. Even though Pat is likable, Pat is the most likable Ryan, I will say.
He is. I like him.
He's a
And
good
he's a
friend.
cutie patootie.
He's a good friend.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it double hard with this Faith situation
He's a good
because
friend for now.
yeah, he's good. Yeah,
He might not be able to resist his feelings if he's
but
hanging out with
remember,
Faith too much.
remember though he said that Faith was a cold fish and that was why he wasn't
Yes.
anywhere near her, and now she's warming up to him and that could be an issue.
Right.
I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm also like interested to see how far this connection between Nick Zabo, Roger, and Frank goes because we have all these things happening.
Yeah. We need Frank to get out of the damn hospital so we can move along with this shit.
Listen, they made us wait a month for him to wake up, and then all he could do is say push for like another week. So they're slow telling the story.
So we made it through the first 50 episodes of Ryan's Hope, so I guess we're in it to win it, huh?
It was a hard go in the beginning. I have to tell you, the exposition makes me crazy. Now I guess it's just charming, but as like with Swan's Crossing, as I get Stockholm syndrome into liking these shows. No,
Yeah,
really,
right.
I did like Nell. I think the Coleridges and Nell and the whole Seneca storyline really kind of sucked me into this world. Um,
Right.
I don't care about Fernelli's background. I just don't. It's like
I
he's an
do. I'm
orphan, but
interested.
he's an orphan, but he's not an orphan because he was raised by this priest and this nun, and he has all these people surrounding him. And I don't really care about that. I like his being a reporter. I think that's more interesting. I want to know more about his ethics in writing and what he wrote in that article about
I
Frank.
know. I'm dying to know what this article says. So I'm
Like the
super
headline is
excited.
like Frank's a crook, like in
I
giant block
know,
letters.
like, and that's the thing. Like, he had to talk to somebody else that I just, I don't know. So hopefully it comes out in the next like handful of episodes, or we'll have to wait a while. But
I do feel like now we have more than one storyline going on because when we
Oh
first
yeah.
started, it was very heavily focused on Frank fell down the stairs and who pushed him down the
Right.
stairs. We were all rotating around the bed and it was just getting insane that we were like, until he woke up, it was really a lot of just the same
Right. Right.
over and over again. But now that we've got like all these storylines happening simultaneously, like we now have A, B, and C storylines and even a little bit of a D and E storyline.
They
So
definitely made a web around everything. They did it.
Mhm.
It's very creative.
The
So I'm super
interconnectedness
excited.
of the storylines really like appeals to me. Like I love that
Yeah.
Bucky being rich and hiding it seems to be connected to his relationship with Pat and Faith, with Nell, with Seneca, with his family. So like there's a lot going there, and then Nell's connection to Bucky like
Hmm.
leaves her open to criticism through the hospital. Like there's so many people and they're all connected, but they're not all related, which sometimes on General Hospital it's like everybody's a little too closely related.
Bold and the
Stop.
Beautiful. We have
Yeah.
someone that sleeps with everybody, so
Oh.
I won't say any names because people yell at me when I do, but she does.
Listen, it's fine. If you want to sleep with everybody in town and you have a list to check off, you're trying to do bingo.
I
It's
mean,
fair.
hey, if you can do it, more power to you. Yeah, go for it, girl.
There's so much I want to know. Like they've done a great job of setting me up with a lot of questions, I think.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, it keeps
Makes
me
you want
keeps me
more,
interested. Yeah, I do. I want
right?
more. I want more. But not
Yeah,
of all the characters, just of most of them.
it's good stuff. And I want to meet the other Ryans eventually.
The sisters. I want to meet the sisters.
I want to meet the sisters and whatever they bring. I don't know if they have family or whatever. They don't mention them. If they
I want
have
to
her
meet
married
Bucky's
or
family.
whatever.
I want to know just how wealthy they
Same.
are. Are they like
And that's,
Rockefeller rich?
I feel like we're gonna have to meet his mom if something's going on with Nell. I would assume she would come on
If
soon, I would
Nell
think.
is his mother's sister.
I'm pretty sure because I think he said like something in the dialogue, like, "Oh, did you have you talked to my mom lately?" And
He
so it
did.
made it sound like, yeah,
He
so it
did.
made it sound like they are sisters.
It's not the clearest family tree yet, obviously, because Bucky
Right.
is hiding that he's wealthy. And I guess the money comes from his mother's. Well, no, because he said his father is in a generational business.
Yeah.
And he keeps downplaying it. But I don't know how long he can hide it. But he does make mistakes, and I wonder if he'll make a mistake big enough that they'll have to step in with his family connections to save him because he is making these mistakes.
And Delia and Bob, I want to know more about their family. Do they have any? They don't mention
They have
anybody.
parents, other siblings.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Bob at all. Like right now, Bob Reed is just Delia's brother, Frank's boyfriend. He doesn't do anything else,
Right.
and I need
I
to
do
see him
know.
interact with other
I looked
people.
I looked up Robin Matson recently for another podcast, and she plays Delia at one point.
What?
Yeah, right after she left General Hospital, she played Delia. I'm not sure if in real life, I know there's multiple Delias, so I don't know if somebody just left temporarily. It's only very temporarily, like she might have been sick or had a baby or something like that,
Oh,
and
I
she
love
filled
Robin
in.
Matson, so that'll be exciting for
She's
me
not
when we
on
get.
long because she joined Santa Barbara in '85, so
Oh, well,
yeah.
I mean, good for her getting the permanent gig. It was probably just a
I
temporary
mean,
cast.
we have a very long time before we get to that, as
I
we
know,
are in
we're in the 70s.
1975.
Yeah.
So we
We
have a
haven't even
very
been
long
born
time.
yet.
Yeah, we have not even been born.
No.
But my sister has. Jenny was here.
Yay. Jenny was the only one here.
Jenny was the only one here. She was here for, I guess, 6 months when it premiered.
Wow.
But all right, we'll wrap this episode up. So we'll bring you more Ryan's Hope coming soon. Thanks for joining us. Join our Patreon. We're doing a lot of different things on there. A lot of things in the works. We're talking about a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on when we have time to do it. Subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you thought of Ryan Soap. We do talk to one wonderful person on here that likes to comment, and we like you.
I
Keep
comment
telling us
back.
what you like. She doesn't like Frank. Karen doesn't like Frank. I don't know Frank well enough to not like him or
I
not.
think
Whatever.
Frank is like a secret scumbag. I really do.
We'll
We'll see.
see.
We'll
It's only
see.
been
We'll see.
50 episodes.
Mhm.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye.